Okay, here's some homework help for page 407. You're given some trig functions here, and you're supposed to use the tables here, the information that you have, to fill these in. So if it's something like the sine of 60, you can just go up here and say, oh, the sine of 60 is radical 3 over 2. So you write radical 3 over 2, and you're done. So if you see any of these, those are easy. But the problem comes when you have the reciprocal functions listed. So let's look at this one first, secant of 45 degrees. You need to, first of all, remember that the secant and the cosine are reciprocal. So if you need the secant of 45, you need to come up here and find the cosine of 45 and write down its reciprocal. So the reciprocal would be 2 over radical 2. Now we can't leave it like that. We'll have to rationalize. And that gives us 2 radical 2 over 2 because these are buddies. And then the 2's cancel, and I just get radical 2. Now, let me give you a little secret here. When you look at the cosine being radical 2 over 2, instead of flipping this one, go back to the raw form of adjacent over hypotenuse, 1 over radical 2, and flip that one, because that's radical 2 over 1. So now let's look at the cosecant of 60. Cosecant and sine are reciprocals. So go find the sine of 60. That's radical 3 over 2. And we need to write down the reciprocal then for cosecant. That would be 2 over radical 3. So 2 over radical 3. Now this one we don't have any choice. We must rationalize. So we're multiplying, and we get 2 radical 3 over 3. For the cotangent of 45, we need the reciprocal of tangent of 45. Well, the tangent of 45 is 1, or 1 over 1, and the reciprocal of that is also 1 over 1, or just 1. Okay, I want to do just one more quick one here. Let's say that we had the cotangent of 30 degrees. That means I need the reciprocal of the tangent of 30. So the tangent of 30 is this, but instead of using that, let's use the raw form because I need the reciprocal. So instead of writing 3 over radical 3 by flipping this one, let's take the raw form and write radical 3 over 1, which is just radical 3. So if there is a raw form, like there was here, and like there was here, then if you need the reciprocal, you can just flip the raw one instead of going through this process of having to rationalize. So again, like for cosine of 45 degrees, if I'm flipping that, instead of flipping this, I would flip the raw form of it to go right to this answer. Okay, on 407, I would like to do one that's just like number 11, but I've changed the numbers so that you can still have a chance to try this out with the problem that's in the book. If you are doing secant, there's no secant button on your calculator, so you're going to have to do the cosine, which is the reciprocal. So if you're finding the secant of 24 degrees and 51 minutes, that's the same as 1 over the cosine of 24 degrees and 51 minutes. Okay, if we're going to do that, remember that when we have degrees in minutes, that really is 24 plus 51 over 60, because that's how you change degrees and minutes into degrees and decimal degrees. All right, so on your calculator, there are a number of ways that you can do this. Again, it depends on how your calculator functions. You either type in 1 divided by, hit your cosine button, and put 24 plus 51 divided by 60, close your parentheses, and hit your equals or your enter. The other way is if you type 24 plus 51 divided by 60 equals, and while that's on your screen, press the cosine button, And then to get the reciprocal, you would hit one of these two buttons. There should be one of these buttons on your calculator. That is what will take what's on your screen and it will present the reciprocal, which is what we want, because we want the reciprocal of this. So try it on your calculator, because here's the answer that you should be getting. So that should tell you which one of these formats you need to use for your problems. Okay, here's a problem that's involving an angle. It tells us the cotangent of A equals 1.62. Now, if I had a Jeopardy button for cotangent, I'd be in business, but I don't. So we need to rewrite this in terms of tangent. So if the cotangent equals 1.62, that means the tangent of A must equal the reciprocal of 1.62. So now you can put that into your calculator and use the Jeopardy button for tangent. So let me show you how to do that. Here are the two options for doing this on your calculator. Again, it depends on the type of calculator you have, but you will either do second tangent, then 1 divided by 1.62 equals, or you'll do 1 divided by 1.62 equals second tangent. Whichever way you do that, you should get the measure of angle A is 31.6863 degrees. Now, you need to give your answer in degrees and minutes. So on your calculator, subtract off the 31 degrees, but write it down. And then take the fractional part, which is this part, and whatever else is left on your screen, and multiply it by 60. If you do that, you're going to get 41.18206 and some other stuff. Well, take it and round it to the nearest minute, and you get A equals 31 degrees, 41 minutes. Please make sure that you give this a try on your calculator before you jump in and do the one that is actually listed for number 12, because if you don't know how to do this with your calculator, you're not going to be able to get the right answer. So just remember, cotangent and tangent are reciprocals. So if you know the cotangent, you also do know the tangent because they are reciprocals. Okay, here are some problems that are kind of like the ones on your assignment, numbers 15 through 18. You're just supposed to calculate these on your calculator. So when you're doing those, if you can't figure out how to do it all in one calculation on your calculator, there's absolutely nothing wrong with writing down what the sine of 42 degrees is, write down what the cosine of 42 is, multiply those together, multiply times 2. Same with this one. If you find the sine of 20 degrees on your calculator, write it down, and then multiply it times itself, write that down, and then do the same here. There's nothing that says you have to do this in a single calculation on your calculator. Write down the pieces. If it's a sine or cosine trig function, just do it to 4 decimal places, but then calculate the parts as you need to. And last comment about this last one, if you're asked to find the cosecant of 13 degrees, remember that that's the same as 1 over the sine of 13 degrees. And then you would take that times the tangent of 13 degrees. So you might have to do these different pieces and write them down and then multiply or do whatever you're supposed to do.